Mark, welcome to the podcast. How are we doing today?
Yeah, good man, good. Yeah, I've had good chat on the way up here.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure, I've covered a lot already.
I feel like we should have done a podcast and then do this podcast.
Full YouTube
'cause,
video on route 2 here and then here as well. But yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure, bro. It's a long time coming. We've fellow Manx, and obviously you've made the plunge over to Dubai, which is where we're filming this.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what was the biggest difference you've noticed within yourself by moving here?
Probably work ethic. And I think it's just the environment that Dubai is, where I don't think you ever truly switch off. Even when I'm out with Shirley's for food, or I'm still thinking about things.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because everywhere you look in Dubai, someone's doing something. Back home, it's not like that. You can have switch off time.
True.
Probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I find like it's funny you said that. I used to think I was bad, but I actually like working every day.
Yeah.
I'd always do a little bit before the wife wakes up in the morning on a weekend. Like she wants to sleep in, so 8, 9. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna quickly silently use a flashlight to get out of the room. And
I'm not allowed alarms on a Sunday morning, bro. I need to get my body clock to get me up. But I'm the same. Like, I don't think it's like, I don't see it as work as such. It depends the task. But it would be, I couldn't go through a day without touching my work phone, opening my laptop. Like, it's just part of me now, and it has been for so long. It's weird. It's like it's not a job. It kind of is 24/7.
it is 24/7. Yeah, 100%. I love that. Just so we usually when we start the podcast, I always like to kind of ask some rapid fire questions, just off the cuff, shoot sharp, and go into that. You ready?
Yeah, let's
do
go.
it. First one, number one cheesecake that you go to for Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, just quick fire. Probably Reese's peanut butter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, I love a sweet tooth.
Yeah, sweet or savoury?
Yeah, sweet and savoury.
Sweet or savoury?
Or sweet or savoury? Sweet, 100% sweet.
Yeah, easy decision, right?
Yeah, sweet.
And then, what are the top 3 gyms you've been to in the world?
Oh, Banus here in Dubai. I'm gonna go one in a different place.
Nice.
So, Banus here in Dubai. Are we talking vibe or quality?
Either overall.
Okay, I'm gonna say EP in Marbella.
Yeah,
Good quality, rooftop, a good kit.
that is good.
Padel would be close, but the kit's not great. And then FLF in Manchester.
Interesting. That made the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, it took me a while to adapt to FLF, but when you're in it, it's probably the biggest family gym that I've ever been in, and the kit is unbelievable.
Really?
So
That's
yeah,
class.
And I did prep there, so
Yeah, true.
Personal connotations.
True. I rate that. And you is in Manchester as well. You got to shout that out.
exactly, yeah.
It's funny because I actually think like something I wanted to dive into in the show was like, you know, when you surround yourself in an environment, it breeds more performance. I think the best thing people can do is leave their local commercial gym and get to a bodybuilding gym. And what's funny is people see a bodybuilding gym, they think bodybuilders, think aggression. They have like a quote or mantra that they believe before they actually get there. But it's the most friendly gym like you can actually have compared to commercial gyms where there's like Karens and people saying just like, you know, you get a different vibe.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is to training in a gym that how important do you think the gym you're choosing, you're working actually influences your performance? And if so, have you seen that within yourself?
So much. I would probably say that the environment in terms of the people, the vibe, is more important than the actual kit that you're using. Like you can go to the best gym in the world in terms of the quality of kit. It could be millions of pounds, but if you don't actually like training inside there, you're not going to get much out of your sessions.
Yeah.
So the best combination is great kit, great vibe. For example, I used to PT inside the Pure Gym in my local community, funnily enough, and it was just dead vibe, to be honest. Like, people are in there doing the same things all the time, actually judging and hating on other people.
Yes.
When I'm from in Glasgow, there's a gym called Extreme Gym, and it has quite negative connotations from the past. There was basically a story that you had to bench 100 kg to be allowed membership at the gym. And it's partially true. It's partially true. I don't know the full story. But I even get a lot of clients. I have one right now, funnily enough, Jared, who relatively new to the gym, and he was training in like a local gym, like techno gym stuff. And I said to him, make the jump to Extreme Gym, which is quote unquote bodybuilding. And he was a little bit tentative and scared to do that because the connotations of it's big meatheads cutting about. I says, believe me, mate, it'll be the best thing that you do. And he's messaging me after every session like, mate, I feel like I belong here. I feel like this is where I should be.
100%.
And I, fun enough, made the similar jump years ago where I went from pure gym to extreme gym. And just being around people who want to do better within the physique journey specifically levels you up. But the same goes for life, really. Like there's so many correlations between the gym and life, where if you're in an environment from people that want to do well, as a byproduct, you will do well. And the gym's no different. It's the exact same.
100%. I find like for me, like, I was going to name drop. Should I name drop? I'll name drop. Training at Pure Gym was like, you do what everyone in Pure Gym does. Like, being fully transparent, most Pure Gym PTs need a PT, like, in my opinion. Like, they just don't have the body, the obviously knowledge, and overall, they kind of just glorified rep counters. And then me going away from that to actually a gym that actually breeds performance was really the thing that was missing. And, you know, like you said as well, like, you kind of get around people that are doing what you want to do, and they look how you want to look, they train how you want to train. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like a life hack, like literally just change your entire gym around. Typically go for a gym that looks aggressive, but it's usually not, because I can guarantee those people actually will push you, they will help you perform better. And then you do that and you see your body change. But like, just staying commercial, staying comfortable. Like, if for convenience purposes, by all means, but if you can, I find that the biggest tip is actually go into these bigger gyms and really step it up as well.
I think there is people that are separate to that. Like, I have guys that train in JD gyms, pure gyms, and they're great. Like, they're fit, but we're obviously speaking about the generalisms here. But I think a lot of it comes down to the fear element. People are scared to even make a move to a busier gym or to a bodybuilding gym because you said it, where they're at right now is comfortable.
Yes.
And it's the unknown of these gyms, not knowing that when they go to somewhere like that, the upside potential of what you're going to get from that is crazy. But it's just that unknown, that's making that step.
Yeah, it's like they'd rather stay where they're at because it's familiar rather than unfamiliar, even though unfamiliar hell over the familiar heaven. Yeah. So it's definitely a case of that. For you, what do you think is the biggest thing that you see holds men back from not just improving their body, but their mindset and their entire life?
There's a couple. I would probably say the biggest one is that they can't see it. Yeah. And because it's not, they haven't done it before, or they don't have the skill set, they think that they all of a sudden can't do it. And they'll maybe look at other people that have done it, and then they'll start using the excuses, oh, but I'm too busy, oh, but this. I think the biggest aspect is because they don't know how to start the trajectory of getting to that point, so it's easier to not do it. It's like that quote, like, people would rather the misery of the present than the fear of the change. And I think that's what holds so many people back, is that they don't know where they should be going, what trajectory, so it's easier to stay in the comfort. And life isn't bad as such, so they're fine, happy staying there, not knowing who they actually could be.
100%. You know, I remember this really sticks with me. It's like, the day a boy becomes a man is when they realise nobody's there or coming to there to save him. And I think most men, they often wait for something to come, someone to come, something to save him. And they live lives of quite desperation. Like, they're in a place where they don't like how they look, they don't like how they feel, and they just normalise it across the board. And then what happens is they actually look at other people and envy that. They're like, well, he's there because of this, or yeah, he's got that, but there's also this, that's important. And I feel like they actually kind of like, they get to a place where because they haven't got it, they end up hating when other people have it as well at the same time. Like, I think a lot of times, like, and you might actually, I'm not sure if you ever noticed this, but like, UK and US culture is really interesting. Like, in the UK, if you start something and you fail, people are like, oh, look at him, he tried. In the US, is like, actually, you know what, good job, you tried, give it a shot, because they're very much going to push you. Did you ever notice that?
100%. Like, that was probably one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to move out of where my hometown was.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think it's UK in general, definitely from where I'm from, but maybe not directly, but I don't think people actually like to see you do well. And that never made sense to me, because even when I wasn't doing well at that point in time, I loved to see other people succeed. Yeah. Whether it be another coach, whether it be someone in their own job or whatever, like, I loved to see that. And it was a bit disheartening that I didn't have that. Even elements of that in Manchester, when I went from Glasgow to Manchester, there was probably still 100%. Areas like that, which was one of the bigger drivers to come to here, because people want to help you, want to see you do well. US culture, I'm not too familiar with, to be fair. I don't have any US clients or anything. What's it like with?
I find like it's for them, they really thrive off like the American dream from what I've experienced. Like the body, the family, the house, the career, everything. Whereby in the UK, you kind of get complacent and they just let the body be where it becomes by default. They let their career become what it is that they stepped into, and they then marry the partner rather than the spouse because it's like you got to take off marriage. I find like in the UK they're not yearning as much. There's not much of a big driver, and I think like even seeing that like difference made me really think like actually like I love the UK for bits because I think personally I think it's such a good place to be brought up with. Because if you think of it, like I think we were discussing this as well, like if you're brought up in Dubai, all you see is safety, and you're like, oh, the world's amazing. And if then you leave the Dubai and you're like, shit, there's things out there, there's that. Whereby if you're brought up in the UK, in other areas you have to fight for what you want, and then you move to Dubai, it's a different scenario.
I think it's completely grounding. Depends where you're from inside the UK, but for most parts, it's like a grounding experience. And I also know for a fact, if I didn't go through all the things I went through, and probably you'd be the same, a lot of other people would be the same, like bad experiences, maybe rougher upbringing, maybe from a family that doesn't have much money. If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't be in the spot that I am today. But it's just that I used that as a fuel and as a motivation to be like, I've seen this growing up as a child. I actively don't want that. And where I think a lot of people inside the UK and listen, maybe other countries as well, they let that be assigned to them, that then needs to be the rest of their life. And it doesn't. Andy Elliott always talks about it, and it's like bloodline breaker. And like that hypes me up so much. Like to think that I can be the bloodline breaker of my family, that's what gets me going. I think a lot of people don't have that type of mentality though, and they're just like, this is what I seen growing up, so this must be me. And my parents before that, so that's me. And then they just let that continue. I think that's where a lot of it comes inside the UK.
But I love what you said there about the bloodline breaker because that's such a really interesting. It's like I don't know if you said this to me, but I actually see it completely black and white. It's 100% like this. It's like you're either the exact same as your parents or you're the total opposite. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Like you either have the same upbringing as they have, or not the same upbringing, but they have like they end up getting the same outcome, or you get a completely different outcome. You become the black sheep in the family. As well, which is obviously it's night and day in terms of who you are. It's completely true. But it's like I remember going, because we're both young, and I say young, but like 5 years ago, we thought we were young, and now I feel pretty old.
I don't know if I feel young anymore, man.
100%.
I see some other coaches coming up, or even like guys like chatting to about fitness and stuff, and
how old are you? 21? Shit.
They're born in 2005, and I'm like, oh, they're well young.
2005.
They're actually 20.
It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Nuts.
It is funny how like we think we're old, but we're not old. But like when you're young, you think you're young. And it's the young versus old debate is like
it's a perception, I think.
Completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. It's like I always find like growing up as well, coming back to it, it's like you see people that are in shape and then they kind of like, and I want to say this respectfully, they often let themselves go. And you're like, you weren't like that in high school. And now you're 30 and it's like, you just become the exact same as, like everyone you're around. Because I feel like I've seen like the fittest people in school, in college, university, completely let themselves go due to life. Why do you reckon that is?
I think two aspects probably. Number one is comfort.
Yeah.
People just like to be comfortable. Like obviously, like who doesn't like to be comfortable? But it's a reframing of your mindset that you need to like seek to be uncomfortable. So I think first thing is probably guys go through, let's say we're talking from high school and they're like Jack the Lad, guys that are in shape or whatever, and then all of a sudden things switch. They get comfortable. They do the same things that they did when they were 18, 19, 20, and now they can't get away with it when they're in their late 20s and 30s. 100%. So they get comfortable being like that person, and time goes quick. They blink and they're like, holy shit, I'm 30 and I've got a dad bod. So that's the first thing. Second, I think, is probably a herd mentality, where if you look at your friend group, for example, and UK culture, pints every Saturday, football on Sundays, etc. If that's what everyone else is doing, well, it's easier to just go and follow them people to do that, rather than if you've got a dream or you want to go to the gym or even having discipline to say no to certain things. It's just they go through what everyone else is doing because that's what everyone else is doing, which I guess is linked to comfort. because to
Yeah.
do what the status quo is the comfortable thing. To be the person who takes that other path is the uncomfortable thing. But tends to be the better results come from doing the non-status quo.
How do you reckon you break through that then?
Complete grit and resilience. I'll use myself for example. So when I was starting PTing 2021, even before that when I was like learning to, Friday and Saturday nights for me were just spent studying and sat by my laptop learning, or when I was a PT making sure clients were okay. And at the time people would have been like, oh, what a boring bastard, like go out and have a life. And like I get that, but I also realised that me taking that type of life was going to get me to where I am just now in the long run, and I had to sacrifice that short term. So I guess it's be resilience and understanding that if you can sacrifice today for tomorrow, you're going to have a bigger reward at the end of it.
Yeah, it's like don't know why that made me think of it. As I actually, do you ever listen like random question? Do you ever listen to music while you're working, like binaural beats?
Do you know I listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
I just don't listen to music.
Yeah, interesting. I listen to podcasts as well. It's like little, like tasks that don't require focus, but guess you need to get done.
Yeah.
But there's like a playlist to listen to. Usually when I work at night, it starts off in like the first minute there's these guys in an office, and there's one that's working away, and it's actually part of the binaural beats, by the way. It's like a late night workflow music.
Mm-hmm.
It's instrumentals only, and then one of the guys is working, and the other one's like, oh mate, come on, you've been here for like the whole day, come up for work. He's like, no, I'm trying to build the life I want. And then he's like, come on, like he's like, where are you guys going? And he's like, oh, he's gonna go down the pint. He's like, nah, I just want to build and I want the future to be better. And then he goes into the playlist. I listen to that every night for work, and it's fucking class. I'll send it over to you because it's like that whole like 1 minute gets me so psyched up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's like I love that bit. But I think it's funny because like when you go through that part where you're working Friday, you're studying, you sacrifice today for tomorrow. And I'm not sure if you've been through this. I probably would assume you have. But like you're like, what if it doesn't work out? And like, what if you just put all this work in for no reason and it still doesn't work out? And it's like, I've never seen anyone put in work towards something and it doesn't work out. There's usually two things that happen. They stop putting the work in because they start doubting themselves, or two, they get the result. But I've never seen someone be like, I've worked so long on the right things, that is, keyword, for 20 years and it's not worked out. It's actually either you've not done it, the thing you need to do for long enough because you've just willing and dallied, or, it ends up happening because you give it time.
Mm-hmm.
And time is the biggest thing. Like some people, I think when you start something, the result is guaranteed quicker, but like take the time frame away, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no reason.
It's like the story like 6 feet from gold. Like that story, like when the Napoleon Hill, it's in his book Think and Grow Rich, where one person's digging for gold and he's digging and he's digging and he's digging. He's like, you know what? Like, this is not working. I've been digging for X amount of months. I put in all this effort. And he sold the digging materials to someone else. That person comes along, looks at the land, digs for 6 feet, and then lands on all this gold. So maybe where people struggle is they do all this work. Like, let's say, fitness aspect, you go to the gym once, you won't see a change. Twice, you won't. 3 times, probably still not. But it's compounded over time. And it's just like doing an undeniable stack of volume that when you look at it as an equation, it's like, well, I'm more than likely to more than likely to succeed than I am to fail because I'm putting in all this work.
Agreed.
But that's maybe where the sticking point is people want it now.
100%.
And it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
I kind of I like time frames and physique changes.
Yeah.
But I also like to think bigger. It's like this short term stint is for this big long term goal. I think, and I'd love to kind of dive into how you think about it. It's like every time I look at, it's funny because sometimes someone comes into our program and I'm like, your body is my responsibility now.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's your body, but it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
You're like a walking billboard, and when someone invests into you, you want to invest twice as much back into them. That's literally how I see it now. And it's like when we map it out, I'd always be like, right, this is a goal in 2 years' time. But this goal here will help us achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
But people think, oh, this is goal here. It's just the end point. So I'm like, all right, 24 weeks compared to 2 years. Sorry, 24 weeks compared to like the rest of the year. That is dieting or that is muscle building. And then there's this, and there's this.
Yeah.
And then there's like, people think it's like you do one thing, you finish it, and it gets a result. But that's like, it's almost like new levels that's required as well. Like people think just by finish a diet, they're going to look like Brad Pitt out of Fight Club. If
Yeah.
anything, you're gonna finish diet, then you're gonna feel soft. You solve that problem. Let's solve this one now.
Yep.
And then we'll get to a place where we're much, much, much closer.
We say to clients, like when I'm on that initial call with them, there is never an end goal.
Bro, 100%.
There's milestones that you hit along the way. Like the analogy I always like to use is like, imagine you're literally just stone hopping upwards a track.
Yeah. I like
And it's not to say that you achieve a goal and it's like, right, we're right on to the next. Like, enjoy the goal that you've achieved. You know, you've worked hard for it. But as soon as you just get settled and you're complacent, then you're going to start sliding back down that ladder. So we always map out, like you do, like 2 years in advance, 12 to 24 months. But it's like, this is phase one, this is goal one, which just sets us up for the next one. Because as soon as you reach that end game, you're done for. There is no end game. There's periods of cruising, there's periods of sprinting, there's periods of jogging, but you can never just stay. You need to always go forward.
I find it funny when someone comes in and they have a time frame in mind for themselves. I'm like, actually, let's kind of take it out. Unless it's a holiday, a wedding, which is a different topic. Like, people want to get in shape for a wedding just to technically please everyone else. Because they want to look for everyone else. But then the partner they spend the rest of their life with, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to, just see what happens after the wedding. That's the funniest bit. I'm almost like, what's the point of getting in shape for a wedding? Like, get in shape for after the wedding. Because you're going to spend this entire life with your partner. That wedding day is technically, you're just doing it for everyone else as well. I find that's like, I'm like, fuck's sake.
I think that's where so many people go wrong. So a lot of the guys we speak to before they join us, they struggle to like get in shape and stay in shape. And it's exactly that. Everything that they've done in the past when it comes to fitness is, I'm on this fitness regime because I've got this holiday or this party or this wedding coming up. And then when that happens, they don't have the drive and motivation. So the way that we angle it is like, fitness isn't something that you do. Fitness is who you are.
Yeah.
So when it comes around, like, yes, let's go hard for that wedding that's coming up. But through that, you've learned the skill set that the wedding's done. You're still the guy who's in shape. Like, you're still the guy who takes care of himself, who goes to the gym, who eats well. That's where so many people go wrong when they're on their fitness journey.
Completely agree.
Because they, like we just spoke about, they don't see past that event. It's like a big wall that's sitting there, and it's like, what happens after that?
Yeah.
Well, because they've not learned the skill sets, they just go back all the way to the start. And it's like, how can we set the skill set up so that you can then go past that?
Yeah. It's like people borrow progress and rent it. They don't keep it. It's like, I'm going to borrow it for a few weeks and then hold it and then sack it off.
I actually just recorded a reel on that on Ozempic. Funnily enough, it's like Ozempic is literally like rented weight.
It pretty much is,
because
right?
you're not dealing with the skill set, the knowledge, the habits, the routines. That's what makes a successful journey, not, oh, like I'm slogging on this Stairmaster just now, but I've got this end goal in mind. Like, well, what are you going to do after that?
100%.
You know?
I'm not going to call out the name. I had a friend that won, I'm not even going to be honest, you probably know exactly what I'm speaking about him, that actually won, like, it's part of a lottery. It was on a TV show, and he won, how much did he win? He won, I think, 2.5 million.
Wow.
And then 6 months later, I think it was, he lost it all. And that's the same as fitness. It's like, I would wish you luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, I would wish you had that body tomorrow, but you wouldn't know what to do with it, how to maintain it. And I found like it's the same analogy for him. Of like, he'd spend all his money, he'd do this, his laptop wouldn't work, he'd throw it in the pool, buy another one. I'm like, that's wild. Like, he'd actually do these things, by the way. So sorry if I'm calling you out, you're listening.
That's
but like, seeing that, and it's like when people do Ozempic and do Manjaro and other things, they just want that look, but then they never maintain it. I think I've never seen like anyone do it forever as well. And like, it's kind of like, if it's a new thing, it's probably going to be a new thing and it's going to get out of fashion. It's like when people were wearing certain clothes and ripped jeans, and that was like the thing. Where is it now? And like that whole thing as well. Is that fashion? Fitness shouldn't be like fashion. Shouldn't be coming in and out. It's like, there's these world-class bases that apply. Whenever you look for that magic pill, it's, you're going to be getting a short-term high, but then in the long term, you're going to be back to a low.
Yep.
So it's definitely a case of that.
A quote that rings with that is, focus on the pedals, not the podium. And that's a flawed way of thinking a lot of people have, is they don't think about the journey that they go on. They think about the destination of where they're going. And they often get blindsided by these short-term things that they'll do to get to where they want to get to, only to fall off the podium.
Yeah.
If you just focus on doing the day-to-day tasks and don't you know it's coming. It will come if you focus on just putting one foot in front of the other. Focus on that instead of like the quick fixes and then the actual result.
I love that. Yeah. For you, question for you, because I love to kind of dive into the man behind the business. It's like, what are you most proud of right now for yourself?
You know, I actually, Charlize always says this, like, I actually don't ever sit and reflect about anything and really give myself any credit. It's just not the way that I typically work. But I guess doing what I said I was going to do and still doing it. Like, I'm just a kid from a little town in Glasgow who went down a slippy slope in life and said that he was going to make something of himself, and I like to think that I have. And through that, it would probably be having an impact on people. Putting everything aside, like relationships, money, like anything like that. It's like doing something that I can actually change the trajectory of someone's life is probably the thing that I'm most proud of, to know that I can be a very, very small piece in someone's bigger jigsaw for the better and have a positive impact on them. I don't think that's something that, like I always say, like we've got the luckiest job in the world, man.
100%.
Luckiest job in the world. So I'd probably say that's something that when I get messages from clients that, mate, I've just managed to put this shirt on and it fits right, or mate, I've just had my lowest scale weight ever. I probably don't deep it so much at the time, but like now that you've just asked that, looking back at and thinking about it like that, it's like, yeah, that's pretty sick.
That's pretty sick, to be fair. I think it's one of my mentors, Corby, he's passed away actually, unfortunately, like 2 years ago now. 2 years, almost 2 years in October. He told me a story, I remember, a while back, and it was like, I'm going to butcher it. He said it better than I did, but I'll say it because it actually helped me a lot. It's like, you often don't see the impact, but then this story really helps you see it. It's like, there's 4 frogs and there's a hill, and there's like, the story starts where there's like, there's one frog that goes to the top of the hill, and the top of the hill, he's seeing the entire world. You see the view's insane. It's incredible. And then the 3 frogs at the bottom, they're just there. They can see a little bit of it. They think what they have there is amazing. They're like, oh, I can see the lake and see a few little bits in the distance. And then a view at the top, like there's a one frog there. He's like, oh, guys, you need to come up here. Like, I know what there's good is good, but like genuinely make the effort, come back up here. They're like, no, what's the point? Like, we've got to go there. But it's the whole thing, you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know what's at the top of the hill until you get there. And then what happens is like, they're like, no, like literally there's no reason for us to come to the top. Like this here is good. We can see the lake. We're kind of like, we don't have to climb up. We don't have to put in the effort. Then what happens is the truck comes and the 3 frogs at the bottom, they see it. They run up the hill. They get to the top. They're like, oh shit, this is so much better. And like, you often don't realize, but as a coach, you're that truck in people's lives. You bridge them up to get to that next hill, and they often don't see it because they don't know what they don't know. And I found that whole analogy in that story was like fair. Like, you're actually a bridge, which is a bridge is like, you connect someone's previous life to their current life, and then the current life, they go miles and distances ahead.
Yeah,
so
that's such a good analogy. Such a good analogy. And I think that's where I like to place myself, is like, I always use the analogy of a bridge. People are at this side of a bridge and they can get to this side, but they don't even know that person exists.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's a lot of people, through experiences or self-limitations, don't know how to cross that bridge. And I just like to be the one that builds the infrastructure to get them to who they can actually be, because every single person has that higher power within them, that they can be the person that's waiting on them on the other side. It just takes that action to go and do it. So yeah, we're trucks and bridges, mate.
Trucks and bridges.
So
best job in the world. I remember I'm hearing that. I was like, bro, it's made everything make sense as well.
Yeah,
it is quite nice to kind of have that as well. Like, I love analogies, but like one that I've actually got on my laptop screen is like, give and forget, receive and remember. And I was like, you know, I almost want to be a go-giver, because I find for me, like, every time I'm like, you know what, it's my birthday, I'm like, I'm going to do this thing for this person. And I just start my day off, I'm like, I'm just going to go voice note a few people and say you have an incredible day, give like a nice inspiring message, because I always find that comes back to me as well. And I also find like me giving to myself allows me to do that. Like we speaking about this earlier, but we both love eating, right? We love being stuffed. I don't know how. It's like, I'll probably do some therapy for it, not gonna lie. I'm like, I need some help to be like, why do I eat still till I'm stuffed? But like, I find for me, if I was always doing that, then I'd find myself in a low frequency. And I'd be like, you know, I just can't give anymore. And I find like fitness is like much bigger than just building a body. It's like you're building the person that can give to others as well.
Yeah. I actually think that it's not about the body as such.
Bro,
People think it is, and I used to as well.
Completely agreed.
And when I've actually looked at like my own journey, I've realised that okay, like I've got abs and I've got this, and there's been loads of times I've looked in the mirror and thought, wow, I actually look like that.
Yeah.
But I've came to realise, especially recently, that it's not about that. It's like the things I have in my life I wouldn't have if I didn't have that pursuit of that body, and what I've actually won in the process is who I've became. And people don't realise that because I'm running on such a high of the body, but it's like the small events of being able to show levels of discipline when automatically you wouldn't have. Like, we get this all the time inside our community, and lads think it's something small, and I need to reaffirm them, like, that is big. Prime example, one of our clients, Danny, he's been with us now for about five weeks, and he tried for like the last 5+ years to get in shape, and he could never ever do it because he would do it for 2 weeks and he would fall off. And he messaged me and he was like, was up at watching the football up in Aberdeen from Glasgow, and the lads were sitting at McDonald's, eating at McDonald's, and I just sat with my coffee. And I'm like, I don't think you realise how important that actually is, because every time you do something like that, that's a vote of confidence for who you're about to become, not the person that you used to be. The byproduct of those actions is that he'll have a six-pack down the line. But the thing that he's actually gained is who that person has become, someone who's disciplined, who has a vote of confidence for who he can be, is away from that herd mentality. Yeah. That's where I think fitness actually is important.
Yeah. For you, how do you want to be like described if you weren't here?
He cares. I take that personally. Like, I care for other people's success, and going back to what I'd said about having a jigsaw, that like he actually cared more than what other people did. Like, he seen me for where I was at and where I wanted to get to, and he helped me. So probably that would be all. Marc cares.
I read that. Yeah. For you, like I think the caring aspect is more like a place where you actually give more to others, and it kind of you give back to yourself at the end of the day. Like, I think that's like a go giver at the end of it. It's like nowadays I find if I ever, because I hope at least people don't see me as a selfish person, but I almost like if I ever get close to being like that, that's me. I need to destroy that quick, because I like to kind of think about everything I do is not for me. I mean, like there's like the workout I do, which puts me in a better place. That's the only thing I do for me. The rest is for everyone else. Like I kind of like to like I'm get up in the morning, because then I can build what I want to build. I can have the impact I want to have. So it's that later on the family that I build is going to benefit. Yeah. So it's always like kind of thinking it's to give to others, because you care about others more than yourself.
Sometimes that can be hard as well, because I do believe that to be able to give back to others, you sometimes need to do selfish things.
Yeah, agreed.
And it looks like that in the short term, but in the long term, like for example, moving to Dubai for me was a difficult thing to do, but I know that down the line I'm going to be in a position where I can help my mum and dad. 100%. And as hard as that is, you know, saying goodbye to my mum and dad at the airport, and I'm in floods of tears, and my dad doesn't really cry, but my mum is in floods of tears. That's really difficult. I just need to reaffirm, like, okay, this might be a selfish move right now, but I know if I come here and I work hard 3-4 years down 100%. The line, I can turn around and say, Mum and Dad, here you go. So a lot of your selfish tasks can actually be selfless.
Yeah. It always turns out to be for the best cause. And I think that probably, I'd love to actually know if it does, because I believe it will. But like, you can't have a day where you're coasting because of that. Like, because you've got this big reason why. Yeah. And I think some people don't know the why, because they often think it's cheesy or it's woo-woo and that side of things as well. It's like that, I think, like, for example, when someone's starting a fitness journey, I find like they come in, they're like, you know what, I think I just got to lose fat because I'm fat. Like, I hear that a lot. I'm like, well, it's pretty more than that. Yeah. And they have to really need to tap into, because unless you know that reason why, then it's like you'll have that Friday night takeaway, you'll get to a spot where you're 50% there, but you feel like you've done it. And that's really the next level in that place. And that's where, like, kind of what you said earlier about people get content and comfortable is because they don't have that thing pushing them. And, like, I think there's a myth where it's like pressure helps you get things done. I think pressure is a way of being used as a tactic to get things done with a time-based goal.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I actually want to create pressure so I can get things done quicker rather than get pressure just because it's the only way to get it. It's one of the tactics you can use.
Yeah.
But for you now, like, what's an area that you want to work on more above everything else you're working on that you feel like is lagging, out of curiosity? Like, what's the deficit you see within yourself?
Self-image.
Interesting. In what sense?
I feel like I'm in a little bit of a stage of my life where, like the lonely chapter that Chris Williamson talks about.
Yeah.
Not the lonely chapter in terms of like with friends, etc., but I think the lonely chapter in terms of myself, where I know that I can get to a higher position within every aspect of my life, like business, how I see myself, everything. But there's this element of me that's maybe like that devil on my shoulder that's like, nah, you can't do it. And I fight with that every single day. There's days where I'll wake up and I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking going to do it. Like, what's going to stop me? There is nothing stopping me. And there's days where I wake up and it's like, well, you're not actually doing as good as what you could do. And there's that self-criticism that comes in. And I think the deficit for me is that I need to learn how to harness that self-criticism for the better, to rise me up and to push me on rather than to pull me back and push me down. So that's an everyday battle.
I think mine's probably being present because, like, if you really think of it, if you turn this one upside down, everything in there is your work and nothing's going to interfere here. And for me, I actually literally do it on purpose. Like, it's not the phone being turned upside down. It's like me being like, nothing can influence her unless you let it by checking the phone.
Yeah.
But like for me, like, I'm not saying I'm not present. I feel like because of me being able to like switch it off a little bit. I mean, like, tomorrow, whatever happens today, I'm going to wake up with using the same toothpaste, same toothbrush, look in the same mirror, brush my teeth. Probably wear the same socks, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, God.
But like, you get the gist, right?
Missus hasn't done the washing yet, no.
So again, gonna have to call out on that. But like almost like that whole aspect.
Yeah.
But finally, it's it's like whatever happens day to day for me is like I need to be present, and I think I sometimes think I create problems if there's not one on purpose, so I have things to solve because I find like business is a game of solving problems, life's a game of solving problems and becoming better because of it. But you can always get to the adverse certain effects of it too at the same time.
For sure. I think not being present is a burden that most business owners will have.
Yeah. I think most men, just generally.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least in my opinion, we probably should. I definitely have the opinion of that guys should be the provider, and that's what I've always believed. But the downside, like I personally don't view it as a downside because I use that as a metric that I'm on the right tracks of when I'm having to battle to be present. And it is difficult because you definitely do need to be present, and I think I'll always be guilty of that until I'm in a position where I can be like, okay, I can cruise here for a little bit, but for the last 4 years I've not managed to find that yet.
I find like you might actually like this. I think we were speaking a bit about AI before, but like my morning routine, if I wake up fuzzled or I'm just like not stressed, but I'm in a spot like, I've got things that's coming on. But my morning routine day to day is like I wake up, go for a walk. It's actually the exact time 35 minutes for some reason. 17.5 minutes timer on, walk away, walk back. And in that morning routine, I do a voice of ChatGPT as like a mind dump. It's at 7 minutes. And then I'll say, make sense of this and ask me a question that will help me create a solution for myself for this.
Yep.
Then I answer it and then I say either option 1, give me a step-by-step plan to fix this problem, or 2, give me a podcast I should listen to today that will help me start to understand more about this topic.
Yeah.
And then that 35 minutes what's done, we've either created a plan or we listen more into understand that topic more. Find like that's like a 35-minute routine in the morning. It's usually steps, but then I'll kind of crack out that.
The downside I think people will have with that is doing it.
Yeah, but it actually helps massively.
Yeah,
right?
But it's like you need to have the cutting action on that. Like I'm probably guilty of that sometimes as well, where I focus so much on the planning and then the execution's off a little bit. Maybe that's another deficit that we talk about. But I think that's where a lot of people.
I find like the whole. I'm always like, if there's not a problem, I create one sometimes.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell. Like, it's actually funny because I actually get in shape and I'm like, oh, I feel good. There's no problems there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, what do I need to do? I need to create a problem. So I go back
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
have to solve the problem again. That was literally me growing up. I'd actually get in shape. I was like, oh, I'm not really pushing as hard in the gym. So I need to create a problem so I can go to the gym and solve it. So I'd actually, subconsciously, by the way, go gain the weight back. And they'd be like, right, now we can be sharp. Now we can go diet and now we can solve that problem. And it'd be every time you solve it, it's a dopamine hit. But it was a big yo-yo up until I was 25, where I realized actually my quality of life is diminishing because I'm not in shape.
I think that stems, in my opinion, from purpose. Like, you need to have a purpose with something in your life. Like, we are blessed where we can have it with our own physiques and our own business, but even other people like have a purpose in terms of what you're doing with your physique, and other things will unfold from that journey. Rather than it being like a problem for problem's sake, it's like a problem because you need to have a purpose to solve something to then have a metric that you know you're moving forward. Because ultimately, if you're solving a problem, you've had to go through something,
You have to go through something
and learn to solve it. Yeah, so that's probably what it stems
That's
from.
that's an interesting way of putting it, to be fair. For you, out of curiosity, I'd love to actually know because I don't think I know, but have you ever been like, you can say a dabbler in life where you just going through the motions and just
100%. 100%. Yeah, I had a period in my life where I was like out of shape, and it wasn't even necessarily being out of shape, it was more so the person that I was. I would come home from work. I used to work in Carphone Warehouse, selling phones and insurance and stuff. I would come home from work and I would either sit and watch YouTube, nothing productive, but sit and watch YouTube all night, or sit and play the PlayStation. And I did that for a long, long time. And I would coast through life. And I wasn't truly happy either at that point, but I was comfortable. Going back to what we spoke about, funnily enough. Yeah, and I think the wake-up call, I spoke about this on my Instagram the other day, the wake-up call for me was like hitting that rock bottom point. Like, external things had happened in terms of my dog dying, and I got bad for alcohol and other things. And I had a realisation point where I was like, who even are you? Like,
you need that.
What is this? Probably a reference point I had at that point which stopped me from being a dabbler. My brother, during lockdown, his business really accelerated. He's a plumber, so he does like high-end bathrooms. And at the time I probably didn't realise it, but I was like, hold on, like, my brother here is, you know, doing these footballers' bathrooms, and, you know, social media's blown up. What am I doing? And it was probably a multitude of things that stopped me from being a dabbler. But yeah, I had a long period like that.
That's class. I didn't know that at all. And for you, what would be your best advice for someone that's still on that phase right now?
In the dabbling phase, get clear on who you would like to be. Just let the mind wander. I, God's honest truth, used to watch guys like Rob Lipsett, and like in my head would just picture myself as someone like Rob Lipsett that does fitness for life, that helps other people, that documents his journey, that lives in the sun, etc., etc. And lo and behold, like, that then happened. Yeah, my advice would be manifest, but don't manifest just for manifestation's sake. Get truly emotionally connected with who you want to become every single fucking day. 100%. And as a byproduct, you will eventually gravitate to that person. That's truly what I believe happened in my life. Like, I joke about this with Shirley's. So I'm big to writing in manifestations, right? And when me and Shirley's were talking about this on the way up, when me and Shirley's got together, she was in Manchester. She had 3 promotions within her job. Like, she was killing it. Like, she's so good. And I came back from Marbella. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to leave Glasgow, but I didn't know, did I want to go somewhere in the UK, blah, blah, blah. And we ended up moving into Manchester. I moved down to Manchester in the January, and I would write in my manifestations. I am, at this point, sorry, I'll preface this, Shirley's was like, I am not moving to Dubai. Like, categorically, I am not moving. We had shouting matches and all sorts when we first moved in. We're in this door 5 minutes and you're talking about this, and so there's a whole ordeal there.
That's brilliant.
Behind her back, I was writing in my manifestations book, I am so happy that as of, and at this point would have been February 2025, I was writing this in January 2024.
It's class.
I am sitting on my balcony in Dubai, looking out onto Dubai Marina with Charlize, who is working and is happy in her job. I wrote that every single day. Every single day. Fast forward to February 2025. I live in Dubai Marina. Charlize is a closer who loves her job. And it's like, what happened here? It didn't happen by chance. It happened because I put it on the piece of paper and I was emotionally connected to it. So people think manifestation's just, I'm so happy I'm a millionaire, done. It's like you need to genuinely get an emotion with it. So that's proof that
That's actually
happened.
giving me goosebumps, that.
I swear to God, mate. And it's happened with so many other things in my life. Like when I look back at the manifestations book and I read things and I'm like, that's actually just happened. And I'm not even necessarily like obsessing over it as such. It's just when I write it on the piece of paper, I already envision myself having that. Yeah. So like having, a brand, employing staff, like client numbers, like business numbers. I just write it on the piece of paper and it's not, I'm miles away from it. Like when I was writing that stuff about Charlize, like we hadn't even got furniture yet in the gaff we were in Manchester. And she's like, I don't care what you say, I'm not moving to Dubai. But because I was just so in tune with it, like lo and behold, it came true.
That's brilliant. I actually love that a lot, bro. That's actually mental. It's like actually seeing that all unfold. It's like,
it's crazy stuff.
It's mental.
And there's an actual law that's like, as a genuine law of frequency that if you believe these things, it can happen.
100%. Like what people don't realize, and kind of like, I wanted to dive into this earlier, but it actually came up now quite nicely. It's like the whole frequency laws. It's like when people, when you really look at it, there's like different levels of human emotion that are on a frequency chart. The lowest is like guilt and shame, where this is where like someone falls off plan on a diet, they cheat on their partner, they drink too much than they need to. That's the lowest level of frequency. I would rather someone raise to a high frequency about getting angry about it and fixing the problem. And I think that is where you use your emotion in your favor rather than as a liability.
Yeah.
And I find like that's like the fact you just said that is actually like, you know what, you've used that as a way of purpose. Purpose is a higher level of being to drive things into that.
Yeah.
You didn't get angry and be like, oh, fuck's sake, we're just going to stay here. You actually use that purpose and enlightenment too.
Yeah.
So that's higher frequencies. And when you really look at it, it's like most people live at a low frequency because they don't know what the next stage is. Like sometimes, like generally I think the best thing someone can do is actually like go on Google, searching the frequency chart, look at the next level of frequency and just raise yourself up. Like if I'm ever in a spot where I'm like, there's problems, I would not be guilt and shame and I'd be like angry about it. I'm like, I'm going to fucking sort this shit out.
Yeah.
At least go into a place where like you did is like manifestation, dive into purpose and know exactly what you want. So you have more clarity rather than more guilt over the situation.
100%. It comes back to that purpose. It's like how external things will happen to you in your life. Like shit will get flung your way. What do you do with it? How do you then go and adjust to it? I remember when that dabbling period we had, I crashed my car. I was working at O2 at this point, and I was driving to work. It was a Monday morning, and I was like, I used to like drink on a Friday, Saturday, and I wouldn't sleep the entire weekend. Right, it was really, really bad. And I was driving to work one time. I wasn't intoxicated. I got breathalyzed. I was sober. But I crashed my car, and I remember it really well. Like my dad came from his work, dropped me back at home, and I remember sitting on my living room floor just crying. And at that point, I was like,
somebody's got to change.
Yeah, exactly. It was like I either like resign to the fact that I am this loser that just wastes his weekends, that doesn't do anything midweek, that has just below average habits, or look at this and I'm like, okay, I now change my life. Yeah. And at that point, that was kind of like a big turning point, because looking back on that year, like COVID happened, my childhood dog died, I then turned to alcohol, like I started getting really out of shape. Like there was so many negatives that I let just like literally accumulate until there was that one tipping point, and I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to let this aside. From there, I was walking up, like do hill walking, started getting back into the gym, eating better, and life had changed. But it came from having that, like you said, that anger of like, nah.
Yeah,
because
you need it.
I think so many things in life is you just make a decision, it just takes that one decision. Like you just decide you're not going to be who you're going to be anymore. You decide to take action on who you're going to be.
Yeah.
It's just people
That's-
lack that conviction of doing it.
100%. Bro, I love it. It's a blast of a podcast so far, right? It's
Yeah,
this is a long time coming, and we can speak for days and days and days, which is the
Big
best
time,
part.
man. Yeah, there's so many like topics that are popping up in my head as well.
Like it's people think this is scripted. Like yeah, obviously we plan out what we want to speak about, but we've not even covered it. So that's another podcast for a different day.
Full on, I literally asked you, can you send me over a structure so I know what was coming, and I didn't get a structure, so it's completely winged.
Best way forward.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
I like to kind of like finish off the podcast with like kind of like a big question usually. So pick the scenario. Let's say you're on a flight. It's an 8-hour journey, and you get to decide a few things. So you've got 2 chairs next to you. You have to decide who you're sitting with. So that's the one. You've got a book you can read, a playlist you can listen to, and a phone call you can make.
Oh,
So who you sitting to, what you listen to, what you're reading, who you calling.
okay, so first of all, who am I sitting next to? Alex Hormozy's one.
Interesting.
That guy is a genius, man.
I like it.
Absolute genius in so many facets of life. And I would probably say Shirley's, my missus. We do basically everything together, me and Shirley's. So
Well, let's say it's 3. One more.
there's 3. Okay, so like big figures. Okay, so I'll have Hormozy there. Shirley's can go in front, so she's still there.
Let me sit next to Mosey.
Who's
Stroke his
jammed in the
leg.
middle. Hormozy's there. Who else would be there? I would probably say, I'm trying to think of people that like I'd spend most time like listening to. Probably Donald Trump.
So I think I've asked the same question to someone else. They've always said Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Purely because he knows so much in terms of like what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
He says it as it is. He's no filter, so I know I'm not going to get any bullshit from him. Same with Hormozy. Like Hormozy's just raw, authentic, and the guy's done a hell of a lot in his life. So that may be a confrontational one, but I'm not saying I necessarily like really like Donald Trump, but
Just to hear the conversations. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
There would probably be more, to be fair, but yeah, I'll go with Hormozy and Trump.
Nice. And the missus, I love that.
Yeah, Shirley's just somewhere on the plane.
Has to be. Yeah.
She'd be raging if I didn't take her.
And the next one, in terms of the audiobook,
The audiobook.
or the podcasts.
Think and Grow Rich.
Interesting.
Think and Grow Rich. It's something that's a manual rather than like an actual like story or anything like that. So, or the Bible. I've never read the Bible, right? But when I like dive into guys like Bob Proctor, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn, all these guys, I'll sit next to one of them. Trump's out, Bob Proctor's in. When I read these guys, I'm like so built into their philosophies, and all of the philosophies stem from the Bible. So the Bible's probably something I would like to read.
You need to listen to Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. Insane. Have you heard
I'd never heard of it.
Listen to
Last
the
week,
audiobook.
I'd seen a reel about it.
Mental.
It's like
Oh, you know the backstory about it? It's like
Tell me.
Napoleon Hill's wife was... Sorry, Napoleon Hill, he wanted to launch the book, Outwitting the Devil. So it's basically a conversation between him and the devil, where the devil's telling him everything about what he does, why he does it, about the world. And then there's the 2 voices. And back then, when it was his years, they didn't allow him to actually publish it because of like witchcraft and black magic was huge back then. So they were like, if you do it, the world's going to end. So then his wife, when he passed away, she made sure it's published, but only after the kids passed away, the kids passed away, and the kids passed away, like 3 generations later. So like it got launched 3 generations later. And if you listen to it, it's fucking wild, by the way. Audiobook, definitely, because you can actually hear the devil's voice, and it's like,
oh really?
yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, bro, it's mental. That's
I've seen someone, it was a reel that I'd seen, and someone commented on it saying, and I'd never ever heard of it, because I know he's got so many good things. Obviously, Think and Grow Rich is one, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a listen to then.
yeah, it's mental. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and
Yeah.
then the Bible. And then in terms of The phone call you're making could be anyone. Who's that going to be?
Oh,
Could be anyone, even if they don't know you, you don't know them, but you want to speak to them.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything too basic. Can they be dead or alive?
Anyone, yeah.
Dead or alive? I would probably want to have a phone call with someone like Jim Rohn. I find myself whenever I'm in like a bit of like a negative headspace, I listen to him
Yeah.
just because the things he says like it grounds me again and gives me a different perspective. So I think if I was ever having any doubt or anything like that, like I would be like, beyond the obvious of like my family and stuff, I would give Jim Rohn a call.
Yeah,
I feel he would just perky me right up. I feel he would just put me in a good
It'll
mood.
make sense of everything.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant, bro. Love that answer. It's been a blast. It's
Mate.
bro, we'd have to definitely do round 2.
for sure.
UK, Dubai, Marbella, who knows where next. But
Yeah.
yeah, appreciate you coming on, bro.
No,
It's
mate,
been
I
a
appreciate you
blast,
having
and
me. It's been a really raw
likewise,
and
man.
honest and good chat, mate. It's been good.
No scripts and real talk from real men. So
Yeah.
that's what we done. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.